On News 5 Live, union members bus in from all over Belize for peaceful protests at National Assembly. Public officers' salaries to reflect pay cuts and increment freeze. Minister of Education calls for Belizean to lead UB. And some sports will be allowed to resume May 1st. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
In these challenging times, the one thing that is certain is that the Belize Bank Limited is here for you. There is nothing more important than your health and safety. And we continue to make every effort to make banking safer for you. Our staff is working around the clock to make sure you can do your banking conveniently 24/7 using our mobile banking app and online banking and keeping ATMs up and running. We value your relationship with us and are here to provide the support you need. First responders are also out there 24/7. Thank you, healthcare workers, security forces, firefighters, caregivers. You are all appreciated. Stay safe. We will get through this together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
It's a fact that you can access unlimited services with Smart. Tired of being measured or cut off when you need to be connected? It's a fact that when you sign up for Smart's Plus plan, you get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data. And it's a fact that you can sign up with your group of up to 5 members for Smart's Share plans and up to 40 members for Smart's Enterprise plans for unlimited talk, text, and data. Smart has the true unlimited plans. That's a fact. Be smart and live smart.
Offside! Was that a goal? Over.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Full-Tech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Full-Tech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
This newscast is brought to you by the Belize Bank Limited. Our country, your bank.
Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Thursday, April 22nd. I am Sabrina Daly. All eyes today were on Independence Hill as teachers, nurses, and other members of the joint unions came out to express their discontent with GOB and its intent to cut their salaries by 10% and freeze their increments for an additional 3 years. News 5's Dwayne Moody was outside the National Assembly this morning.
As early as 8 a.m. today, teachers gathered at the steps of Independence Hill outside the National Assembly building in anticipation of day one of the budget debate. As parliamentarians arrived, their chants reverberated in the air. They want good governance and the ratification of the UNCAC.
We've been sending this message for years. Today, what we are seeing here is a unified movement towards the implementation of good governance. We are listening to the teachers and the public officers and Belizeans out there talking about the implementation of UNCAC. It has to happen. Corruption must be put to an end. And this is the movement that we are talking about. We are not here to destroy anything. We are nationals. We are humanitarians, and this is a nationalistic movement, right? And so, nation building. This is what nation building is about. We must fight corruption. We are here to defend our property. We are defending our territory. That's our 10%. We are defending our wages, and we will defend it to the end.
They were soon after joined by PSU as scores of public officers in yellow shirts came parading through the pathway and onto the plaza. PSU Vice President Dean Flowers says that even with a fragile economy, nepotism and cronyism is rampant.
We are in a bad state economically, and we will need to unite. We must unite, but we must unite on a good governance platform, which I am disappointed to say that this administration has reneged, just like the Barrow administration did. This administration was voted in on a platform of good governance, transparency, and accountability. What we have seen is more non-transparent procurement of contracts. What we've seen is nepotism and cronyism doubling. If you look at all the statutory boards, and you will see the sons, daughters, cousins, brothers of politicians there. You look at all the statutory bodies. I was recently informed that when you look at the Belize Airport Authority, I understand the daughter of the Prime Minister's executive assistant, Mrs. Garcia, is there running that. I understand she has no qualification to be heading the Belize Airport Authority. What is wrong with these people when we have qualified Belizeans out here that have been displaced by COVID-19, who don't have a job? Her mother have a job. Her father has a job. Her husband is the CEO in the free zone, and she has to be placed without the requisite qualification to run the Belize Airport Authority. This nonsense has to stop. This is the equivalent of putting Anwar Barrow with no experience at BTL.
At first, the Nurses Association of Belize also came out and joined in the protest today. Likening the situation to a Bokut, the leadership of the association spoke about the vexing situation with the salary cuts and increment freeze.
We, the people, need to demand a change in our government. Not to change the government. We tired of change government. You change monkey, you get black dog. We want the government to change. We don't want to change the government.
Talk to us about Bokut.
About Bokut. Well, Bokut here represent what Belizean taking for the past 40 years. 2 decades nearly a UDP, 2 decades nearly a PUP, and all we get the Bokut.
The science says it all.
Understaffed, overworked, underpaid. That's what nurses are facing.
Of course, salary cut is not the answer. Imagine what us as nurses go through every day. We sacrifice a lot for our country and for our patient. So for them to say that we don't have talent, audacity in them.
Standing alone in the crowd was 20-year-old track and field athlete Kanan Smith from Libertad Village in the Corozal district. He made his way to Belmopan today to provide support to the unions and would have liked to see Belizean athletes and the youth come out and make demands to government leaders.
I'm out here standing firm as a youth leader, as an athlete, as an advocate for the BNTU and the PSU. I'm out here to set an example for the young people. We need the young people to come out and stand up. We are 70% of this population. We can make a difference. However, we cannot sit home and just sit down and let the government do whatever they want with us. We are the employers of the government. You know, we employ them, so we should hold them accountable in any decision that they make.
Even as police stood watch and barricades erected, the anti-corruption protests went off without a hitch. But the message was loud and clear.
Give me a U! U! Give me an N! N! Give me a C! C! Give me an A! A! Give me a C! C! What does it spell?
Sign the laws, get the laws in place, get the Whistleblower Act in place. Come on, no salary cut, no amount of salary cut will help this country with a wasteful government.
The PSU would be welcoming to any Belizean who genuinely wants to stand up for Belize. We're not interested in party politics. We're not interested in embarrassing the government, and we're certainly not interested in bringing back what has been 13 years of some of the worst corruption we have seen. What we want is for this system to be fixed.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Later in the newscast, we will show you more of the very visible protests along the nation's highway. While the unions made their presence known outside the National Assembly, on the inside it was business as usual for the first day of the budget debate, as the members took turns both criticizing and supporting parts of the budget that most directly affect their ministerial portfolios and constituents. News 5's Isani Caetano has excerpts from day one.
Kicking off the 2021 budget debate this morning was Opposition Leader Patrick Faber. The area representative for Collett spoke for almost an hour, having a go at the government's fiscal plan for the next 12 months. Faber was critical of the financial blueprint for a number of reasons, beginning with the leadership of the new Prime Minister.
But rather than manning up to the challenge that he knew to be forthcoming as the country's new leader, he instead chose to create an atmosphere of the greatest desperation and panic with the hope of gaining sympathy for his inability to handle the job. The PM lamented about the large mandate given to him and his party in November 2020, and also about their successive victories at the polls in March for the municipal elections. But he seemed deaf to the cries of the masses of Belizeans all over.
Those cries, according to the former Minister of Education, are about the existing hardships that are being faced by the people, particularly teachers and public officers.
The teachers and public servants, about 15,000 in number, who now seem to be sending him and his party a new message after just a few short months. In fact, a few weeks after the victories he bragged about at the polls. Such a message, Madam Speaker, is loud and clear, resounding the point that he failed to convince them that he has a serious plan that is anything but self-serving for he and his party, or riddled with the kind of practices that the people spoke overwhelmingly against in November of last year.
In response to Faber's criticism of the new budget, Freetown Area Representative Francis Fonseca laid the blame squarely at the feet of the previous administration for the present economic situation that the country is experiencing.
You have the audacity to stand up and attempt to discredit the new government's principled efforts to bounce back the broken economy and build back this shattered country. You should be joining our efforts. You should be working with us, not against us. You should be praying for our success, not for our failure. Madam Speaker, this is not a budget we wanted our first year in office. This is a budget forced upon us and the Belizean people by a reckless, irresponsible UDP government.
In turning to the Belizean people, Fonseca made an appeal for continued patience as the new government tries its best to turn things around and deliver on its mandate.
You gave our Prime Minister and our party your full support, and we will not fail you. We need you to continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with us as we work our way through this economic crisis facing our beloved Belize. We need your support now more than ever. We know that so many of you are in need of jobs. You want access to land. You want access to housing. You want access to education. You want access to quality health care. We thank you for your patience.
The sole presenter for the opposition was the party leader himself. In finding fault with the budget, Faber likened the Prime Minister's approach to the folktale of Henny Penny, or Chicken Little, who believes that the world is coming to an end. In countering that criticism, Area Representative Dolores Balderramos Garcia gave reassurance on the part of the Briceño administration that the sky is not falling.
There is absolutely no panic. There is absolutely no panic on this side of the House. And please, do not blame COVID for the difficult times that we inherited because of 13 years. What we found was much worse than we could ever have imagined. The UDP presided over times of arrogance, corruption, criminally reckless spending, aloofness from service to the people, and neglect, especially of our rural communities. Today, Madam Speaker, because of what we found, we must sacrifice. And I have to call on everybody, without exclusion, to do our part.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.
The budget debate continues on Friday. The unions and the government remain at an impasse over salary adjustments that will see teachers and public officers receiving a 10% reduction in wages over a 3-year period. While it is necessary for government to realize savings due to the severe economic crunch, the unions object to the notion that savings should come out of their salaries. The latest response to the proposal put forward by the Ministry of Public Service last Friday is that the unions are not backing down from their position. Both sides are at a deadlock, notwithstanding the imminent implementation of the salary cut. Nonetheless, Cayo South Area Representative and Minister of Infrastructure Development and Housing, Julius Espat, is optimistic that the negotiations will continue and that the stalemate will be resolved amicably.
Absolutely no one likes or appreciates a reduction to their much-deserved remuneration or to their proposed budget. I am convinced, after having deep consultations with our negotiators, Mr. Speaker, that the dialogue will continue with our brothers and sisters from the public service. We have no choice, Mr. Speaker, because you see, we are all servants of the people. And therefore, we are a family. And yes, at this point in time, the family might have their differences, but the family has to come together for the benefit of the people of Belize, Mr. Speaker. And that is a commitment that our party, our government, our Prime Minister, our negotiators, and Cabinet in its entirety is committed to make sure that the family comes together so we can serve the people of Belize.
On the opposition side of the House, Area Representative for the Albert Division, Tracy Tager Panton, went on record to say she cannot support a budget that cuts the salaries of teachers and public officers. Panton acknowledged that the UDP administration has been criticized for borrowing $1 million a day to address the salary commitment of public officers and teachers.
They are the collectors of our revenues. They are the educators of our future generations. They are the protectors of law and order, Madam Speaker. They keep the peace and they safeguard our public safety. They are the defenders of our national sovereignty. They are the guardians of our public health. They are our first responders in times of a national emergency. At all times, under any circumstances, they must be ready to respond to the needs of this nation. Madam Speaker, let me make it categorically clear. In good conscience, I cannot support a budget that seeks to take away from those we depend on every single day to keep this country going. How can we take away even a portion, Madam Speaker, of their own abilities to take care of their families, to educate their own children, to support the well-being of their own communities?
Since February, discussions have been held with the joint unions leading up to the budget presentation. But that has not ended well. Today, a reserved NTUCB president, Luke Martinez, says that there are areas where the wage bill can be cut, while PSU Vice President Dean Flowers says the GOB is not being truthful about the wage bill in its presentation.
It's a fact that we have people who have passed the retirement age and they are still in the system. We have retirees who are on contract. They have overburdened the system with open vote employment. The low-lying fruits are on the ground. We still, when it comes to the public sector, we still see a lot of government vehicles on the road. Government vehicles are at some of these resorts during the weekend. You see them pack up with river actions and they're going to the river with government assets. This afternoon when you go for lunch, you'll see the government vehicle doing private business, right? At some point, and we would have expected by now, they would have put a grip on that specific wastage, right? And the continuous employment, we have said earlier that while there was a moratorium on hiring, which was supposed to have ended on the 31st of March, man, this is why we're here.
At the proposed budget estimates, and you will see that 83 cents is not allocated to salaries. It is 36 cents, and based on the projected outturn for the last fiscal year, it will be 51 cents. We have to stop misleading the Belizean people for political mileage. If you even look at the proposed 2021-2022 budget, you will see that the allocation for personal emoluments is under 50%. I haven't done an extensive review of the 2021-2022 budget, but I am calling on the government to stop the lies and stop attacking the union as if we're the opposition.
Unions were at the foot of the National Assembly building this morning. Inside the House, a couple members were calling for the voice of reason to prevail. Member for Freetown, Francis Fonseca, noted that discussions between the unions and GOB have been all-encompassing and that every piece of information requested by the unions have been provided. Honorable Fonseca stated that the Briceño administration is seeking unity and not confrontation with the unions. Member for Belize Rural Central, Dolores Balderramos Garcia, expressed that we are all in this boat together and that now is not the time for grandstanding. Garcia called on the president of the Belize National Teachers Union, Elena Smith, to show real leadership.
Since February 10th, I have been a part of government's team consulting with the unions. We have had extensive, frank, good faith discussions with the National Trade Union Congress of Belize, the Belize National Teachers Union, the Public Service Union, and the Association of Public Service Senior Managers. Our objective was to meet and consult with these unions on the matter of the budget for fiscal year 2021-2022 and to present to them a fiscal and economic performance review for fiscal year 2020-21 and to seek their support and recommendations for a homegrown economic recovery program to meet the existing financing gap in the budget. Madam Speaker, it is important for the Belizean people to know as well that our consultations with the unions have been all-encompassing. We have discussed revenue enhancement, debt restructuring, capital projects, goods and services, and yes, wage adjustments. We have provided the unions with every piece of information requested, and we have provided them with specific commitments in writing which we are prepared to make as a government. We do not seek confrontation, Madam Speaker. We seek unity. We seek common purpose. We seek resolution. We seek a way forward together out of this Belize's darkest economic hour.
Let me implore that the voices of reason in this country must prevail. Many people, all of a sudden, they found their tongue. But I am asking, I am imploring, please find your ears to hear, to listen, and to comprehend that we are all in this boat together. We're all in the same boat, and we don't want the boat to go into the reef. We want the boat to sail. We want the boat to move along into a bright future for our beloved country. I ask the President of the BNTU and other union leaders to show the leadership, Get your COVID vaccine, man and lady. Get your COVID vaccine. Let us have real leadership. This is no time for grandstanding in this country. It is difficult times, but we have to show leadership. In wherever we are, let us show the leadership.
At the start of today's budget debate, Speaker of the House Valerie Woods laid down the ground rules of the House based on the standing orders. She reminded all members these standing orders dictate how members must address each other and the type of language to be used. Her reminder was no doubt prompted by the hurling of insults and subsequent walkout by the opposition during the budget presentation 2 weeks ago. At least one member concurred, offering her support to the Speaker.
Following the disorderly events that immediately preceded the adjournment of this House, on the last occasion, I have since met with the Prime Minister, the Leader of Opposition, and the member for Kaya South. I did so sincerely in an attempt to ensure that moving forward, there is not a repeat of what transpired at the last meeting. The standing orders of this House require that all members refrain from using unparliamentary language. You elected me as Speaker to fairly and impartially referee the proceedings of this House according to the rules set out in the standing orders. That is exactly what I intend to do for so long as I remain the presiding officer of this chamber. Members, I get it. House meetings are not Sunday school or church services, but neither are House meetings a street brawl or a pub crawl. It should be the place where the chosen representatives of the people debate policy and high matters of state. Debates will be aggressive, passionate, and loud, but they must not descend to personal, lewd, or disrespectful attacks against each other. If that is what members want, then simply change the rules to allow it and elect a new Speaker.
First and foremost, Madam Speaker, to commend you for the dignity and professionalism that you have brought to the remit that you now bear. I only want to say to the Leader of the Opposition, through you, Madam Speaker, don't come here with unbecoming conduct and bleating and calling out people's family members. Through you, Madam Speaker, that is going to stop. And I am going to make sure that whenever they descend into that kind of foolishness, I will raise my voice in objection.
Coming up, there's more on the budget debate after the break, including a new nominee for Governor General, local leadership at UB, and an easing of restrictions on sports. Don't go away.
As an RF&G agent, it gives me great pleasure to work with a tremendous company. Whenever we need any help, we can count on them to help us. When you sign up with RF&G, it is more than an insurance. It is family. A family that is reliable, that is dependable, that is safe. I am your neighbor, I am your friend, I am your RF&G agent.
Find your nearest RF&G agent on our website at rfginsuranceBelize.com, where it pays to get it right.
Let's all work together to be germ busters and keep each other safe by stopping the spread of germs that can make us sick. Remember to wash your hands often, especially after using your devices or toys and before and after eating. If you don't have soap and water, use a hand sanitizer. Make sure to put it all over your hands, front and back, and let it dry. Don't wipe it off. Believe Electricity Limited. We care about your safety.
My name is Kenrick, and I live in Belize City, and I'm employed as an agent for a company that does reservations for hotels from all over the world. Since amputation, my life has changed minimally. Yes, I don't have my legs to get around, but I have always been an active person. So I do things a little bit more deliberate, a little bit more slower maybe, but I still get it done. Let's say they say we're going to some restaurant, wherever. I need to call and say, do you have access to a wheelchair? And they say, yes, of course. Then I would ask the second question, can I get into your restroom with a wheelchair? And then 99% of the time they'll say no. I would like to encourage everybody who has a disability to not give up. Never, 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 ever give up.
Live and let live. Respect for all Belizeans.
Save, save, save. The credit union way. Save, save, save. It will make you rich someday.
¿Sabías que la energía que suministra BEL viene de una mezcla de fuentes renovables locales y no renovables que incluyen fuentes hídricas, biomasa, combustibles fósiles, energía solar y energía importada de México? Estamos desarrollando nuevas soluciones energéticas, incluyendo la generación de energía solar a nuestra matriz energética e instalación de paneles solares. ¿Tiene preguntas sobre la energía solar? ¿Quiere conocer nuevas formas de ahorrar energía reduciendo sus costos? Únase a nosotros para los próximos Watts and Whys of Energy en Facebook Live para obtener más información sobre las opciones de soluciones energéticas emergentes que BEL tiene reservadas para Belice. Únete a nosotros viernes 23 de abril a las 10 a.m.
The nomination of Froila Salam as Belize's next Governor General has been formalized via official communication between the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Buckingham Palace. The government of Belize is seeking a replacement for Sir Colville Young on his retirement at the end of April after roughly 28 years in office as representative of the monarch. This morning, during the sitting of the House of Representatives, Prime Minister John Briceño made the announcement prior to the budget debate.
Since his announcement, I have requested the Foreign Minister to inform Buckingham Palace and Her Majesty the Queen of England, the Queen, of the nomination of Ms. Froila Salam to be Belize's next Governor General. Ms. Salam is from the beautiful village of San Antonio in the Toledo district. She's an anthropologist, writer, and community leader with a master's degree in rural development. She currently plays a leadership role in the conservation community and works as the head of SATIM, an NGO engaged in the preservation and conservation of the Sartoon Temash Environmental Association. I am confident that Froila will serve this high office with distinction, that she will bring her own style and talents to the high office of the Governor General of Belize.
The poor treatment the late Dr. Dame Minita Gordon received upon retiring from her post as Belize's first Governor General in 1993 left a lot to be desired for such a distinguished office. In an effort to prevent a recurrence, Prime Minister Briceño will be returning to Parliament in the weeks ahead to amend the existing legislation that regulates the office of the Governor General. That amendment is in respect of the monies paid for the work of the GG and will be done retroactively to provide better coverage for Sir Colville Young as he enters retirement.
I think that we have been doing a disservice to our Governor General, and it was even worse with the first Governor General in Belize, the way that she was treated. I will be coming to the House in the next House meeting, and I'll be making some amendments to the Governor General's Act to deal with the remuneration, ensuring that the Governor General has access to health insurance, to improve its salary a little bit more despite the challenges that we have presently. And we will do this retroactively so that the present Governor General will have a little bit better of a pension that he will get as opposed to what he would get under the present act that covers his salary. I want to bring that, Madam Speaker. I'm asking everyone in this House, on both sides of the House, to support the proposals that we're doing, which is in effect to give that respect that this high office merits.
Minister of Education, Culture, Science and Technology, Francis Fonseca, indicated there could be major changes at University of Belize. He says UB needs new direction and a Belizean at the helm. Minister Fonseca briefly explained his plans to right the ship.
I place on record my deep disappointment at how very little progress our national university has made over the past decade. Sadly, in many respects, it has regressed. We have appointed a board of competent, committed persons who have been given a mandate to review, revise, and modernize the university to ensure that the vision and goals of our national university are aligned with our country's national development goals. The board has a duty and obligation to act with a sense of purpose and urgency. I thank President Professor Sankat for his service to the University of Belize. But as a new government, a new Ministry of Education, I believe it is time for us to move in a new direction. I believe that UB needs new leadership. UB needs Belize.
At a time of historic financial constraints, the National Institute of History and Culture, NICH, is facing severe fiscal challenges in carrying out its mandate. According to the ministry responsible for culture, Francis Fonseca, the staff and administration at NICH had their salaries slashed due to steep drops in revenue over the past year. Fonseca promised today to revitalize NICH with new programs and projects in support of culture and the arts.
During the past year, Madam Speaker, NICH has attempted to reduce all expenses and liabilities as best as possible, while still focusing on our mandate of preservation, safeguarding, and promoting Belize's art and culture. The site revenues have declined rapidly, with the site revenues for April 2020 to January 2021 being 97.75% less than that for the same period of the last fiscal year, and total income for the same period declining by 70%. Financial support to accomplish NICH's mandate has been derived 90%, the government of Belize, 5% revenues from the archaeological sites. NICH has a deficit of 1.3 million. The staff and administration have been on 50% salary, Madam Speaker. The staff and administration of NICH, 50% salary since May of 2020, while the park rangers on the front line protecting our national treasures are on 80%. They got a 20% salary cut for the same period. I cannot explain, Madam Speaker, how grateful and touched I am by their patience and their commitment to the sustainability and survival of NICH. I know how challenging and difficult it has been for them and their families. And my pledge to them and the Belizean people is that we will rebuild and revitalize NICH. We will develop new and exciting programs and projects to engage with our artistic community.
Athletes have been clamoring for the resumption of some sports, despite a steady increase in the number of COVID-19 cases. Last Friday, a group held a press conference in Belize City to voice their discontent with the Ministry of Sports for not pushing hard enough on their behalf. Well, it seems that Minister Kevin Bernard was listening. On Tuesday, he presented a cabinet paper, and today he told News 5 about the pending return of non-contact and recreational sports, as well as training exercises for contact sports.
Mr. Speaker, I start my brief presentation today with some welcome news. On May 1st, just over a week from today, we will open up sports in the country, although under strict guidelines. I would not wish to preempt the SI, but I can say that non-contact sports will return to normal, as will recreational sports, while contact sports will be for training purposes only for a period of time. We will get into more detail in the coming week, but God willing, we will return to complete normal by the start of 2022.
After the break, the Belize Chamber of Commerce offers to help mediate between GOB and the unions. Find out why they feel the impasse is bad for business. But first, here's a look at the latest COVID-19 figures.
Shine any weather. When we go ball, we go Berger. Quality paint, no faded colors. When we go ball, we go Berger. Let your imagination run free. Any color for this place, when we say ball, that mean it don't peel. Quality in every color, lifetime guarantee. When we go ball, we go Berger. When we go ball, we go Berger. Rain or shine, any color you need. When we go ball, we go Berger.
Contraband is illegal importation of fruits and vegetables or any commodities entering the country from an illegal port of entry. Contraband fruits and vegetables do not follow required sanitary protocols and may contain pests which can endanger agricultural industries, livelihood, and can result in the exposure to coronavirus. When purchasing these goods, you place yourselves and the lives of your loved ones at great risk. We advise the public to report any illicit activities to the nearest customs or Baja office. The Belize Marketing and Development Corporation, the Belize Agriculture Health Authority, and Customs Department encourage you to say no to contraband and buy local.
Did you know that the Public Service Union collects $35,455 every single month from dues? Almost $500,000 a year. Did you know that the Belize National Teachers Union collects $41,692 every single month from dues? $500,000 a year. Between these two unions, they make $1 million a year. Did you know that? While public officers march for their money, their leaders have access to $1 million a year. What is that money used for? Who has complete access to it? Despite getting $35,000 a month, the PSU say they had no money to save their hilltop property. Where did that money go? It is important to know who you stand for and where you stand. We believe in solidarity. Solidarity with all our people. Solidarity for Belize.
BWS launches its residential amnesty program to aid customers. For those who have fallen behind, you can now take advantage of our arrears assistance, which allows you to get up to 10% rebate on all arrears payment. Our early payment rebate is opened and is automatic to all residential customers who pay their bill in full 5 days earlier than the due date. You receive a 5% rebate on your next bill. BWS Amnesty Program, designed to assist you.
Belize Water Services, delivering water and more.
¿Sabías que la energía que suministra BEL viene de una mezcla de fuentes renovables locales y no renovables que incluyen fuentes hídricas, biomasa, combustibles fósiles, energía solar y energía importada de México? Estamos desarrollando nuevas soluciones energéticas, incluyendo la generación de energía solar a nuestra matriz energética e instalación de paneles solares. ¿Tiene preguntas sobre la energía solar? ¿Quiere conocer nuevas formas de ahorrar energía reduciendo sus costos? Únase a nosotros para los próximos Watts and Whys of Energy en Facebook Live para obtener más información sobre las opciones de soluciones energéticas emergentes que BEL tiene reservadas para Belice. Únete a nosotros viernes 23 de abril a las 10 a.m.
The Belize Chamber of Industry and Commerce is urging GOB and the unions to return to the negotiating table and offering to be an independent voice. Today we asked the president of the BCCI, Marissa Longsworth, if these parties can compromise.
We hope so, and that's part of the reason why we have asked to be direct participants in the process. You know, for the time being, what has been happening is that we equally have been receiving information by way of the media, by way of being forwarded different circulations and correspondences. And so even we don't know all the facts. So without knowing all the facts, it's hard to say where there is room for compromise. However, once we are given that opportunity to get all the facts and to try to reason things out, I feel as though the chamber would be able to find small areas that will compromise, or at least small areas where the realities can be put to the feet of those who may not be, or who may be resistant to some of those realities. And many of those realities exist on both sides. The chamber in this press release has taken no side. because we understand that there are issues on both sides. The problem is not coming to peaceful resolution of those issues, because it carries on, and it affects your activities and your what you want to accomplish at the end of the day until there is that resolution. And so that's essentially where we come in saying, can we be a part of this? If there are things that are not being seen, maybe we can help them to be seen. If there are things that are not being discussed, maybe the topics are a little bit difficult to discuss, maybe we can bring in some research and some facts that can make the discussion a little bit easier. And so that is where we are offering at this point in time to be a part of this process and to be a part of its eventual resolution.
One of the main reasons why the Chamber is calling for an end to the impasse between GOB and the unions is because they say that they are concerned that if the standoff continues the way it is, it will, quote, add more strain to an economy already under severe stress, unquote. In its release, the Chamber noted that Belize's economy contracted over 14% in 2020 and is expected to only experience a 2% recovery this year. So the Chamber is now saying that if GOB and unions can't reach a compromise, it will be very bad for business.
It can be damaging as we look at matters to do with how we fast track economic recovery. And for the business community, that is really the biggest concern.
We know that the PSU, they've tendered their notice for industrial action. The BNTU recently announced their intention to strike. Are you able to discuss what those collective actions will do, the implications of those?
These sorts of disruptions also impact badly the productivity of a country. It becomes very, very burdensome on a business to try to survive and to try to absorb the costs and the losses that come from consistent civil unrest and other issues that interrupt and disrupt everyday life. And so what we aim to do is to try to minimize that as much as possible. Everything that we advocate for as it relates to keeping the number of productive days as high as possible is because of the need to keep businesses going and to keep things running. All of these have a serious ripple effect on us, because if we don't make it to the port on time, not only does a company have to pay fees for that purpose because they have to now store the goods until another ship can go, but we lose foreign exchange as a result of that as well. And one of our biggest crises right now is a lack of foreign exchange. So if it is that the problems that exist at the core of Belize's financial crisis has to do with whether the private sector can generate growth and income, then naturally any disruption, and we understand that there are reasons for disruption, but the fact is that any disruption, particularly one without an end in sight, because we are at this point with this, we don't know how long this can go on. We don't know how explosive it may get. And so we are potentially, as a business community, looking at days or weeks of lack of productivity.
The details of Wednesday's cabinet meeting were released late this afternoon. The big news is that the Minister of Public Service, Henry Charles Usher, will proceed to fix the salaries of public officers due to the deteriorated state of public finances. To soften the blow, Cabinet agreed to grant a land credit to the affected public officers that's equivalent to 50% of the salary adjustment. This may be used when they acquire land from the government. In relation to a story making the news this week, Cabinet has ordered that there be a review of a lease agreement signed by Edmund Castro, the former minister responsible for Ports and Recological Systems Limited for 25 years. This contract was signed on November 9, 2020, 2 days before the general elections and after the House of Representatives was dissolved. In agricultural news, cabinet ministers authorized the delivery of 50,000 tons of sugarcane from Orange Walk and Corozal sugarcane farmers to be milled by the Santander Sugar Group. They also approved the establishment of a citrus working group tasked with preparing recommendations to chart the way forward for Belize's citrus industry. As mentioned in the House of Representatives this morning, Cabinet also gave the green light for resumption of non-contact sports and for training only for those involved in contact sports, as well as to allow for recreational sports. They will also review the protocols for sporting activities in the coming months with a view to allow for spectator sports. When we return, a sea of green t-shirts as teachers declare their intent to strike. Find out more after the break.
Currently, we're using Smart Elite VoIP calling plan. We use it interbranch, we use it to call outside, and we also use it to call international. It's far cheaper than what we used to have before. Our equipment, our new PBX box is new. So the PBX is very good because I can call to my Sartaneja branch, I can call to my Kikaka branch, I can call to San Pedro branch, and there's no cost using the PBS. Actually right now, since we're in different locations, I can call main office from where I am at a no cost using the PBX system. I would recommend it, sure I would, especially the big enterprises who has a lot of employees. There's a lot of reduction in costs, 50% of saving. Put that on a year, it's a lot of money that we're saving. Money that we could return to our members since we give back dividend to our members.
Visit our showroom or call 670-6710 to find out how Smart's corporate plan and PBX systems can benefit your business. Consultation is free.
The contamination of water we all depend on is a very urgent issue. As Belize's popularity and industries grow, challenges increase. In this episode, we will examine the issue of water pollution in Belize. Water pollution is the contamination of water bodies, usually because of human activities. Water bodies include lagoons, rivers, aquifers, and oceans. On the marine side, the discharge of sewage and bilge water from cruise ships and other live-aboard vessels, in combination with unregulated development of coastal areas, has led to the degradation of marine ecosystems such as mangroves and coral reefs. Our inland waters are facing their own challenges. As agricultural development increases, pesticides, fertilizers, and waste products are running off into rivers. Increased river traffic from boat tours and sugar barges adds to the already stressful conditions of the freshwater ecosystems. In addition, companies that collect sewage sometimes dump the waste right into the waterways. Additionally, in densely populated areas like Belize City and Orange Walk, poor sewage designs result in the contamination of groundwater and of water bodies by both sewage and wash water. In many cases, homes and businesses dump their wastewater directly into drains, which leads to rivers and the sea. Wastewater, detergents, and petroleum collect in drains that empty into waterways, such as the New River and the Belize River. This, along with the runoff and discharges from the agricultural and industrial businesses, have been inadequately monitored and enforced. The answers to overcoming water pollution issues are fourfold: improved infrastructure, adequate treatment, increased legislation and monitoring, and of course, changing our habits for the better. While it is urgent that better management on a policy level is needed, there are a few things we can do at home to help. Ensure proper treatment systems are installed for all wastewater at your home and business. Don't dispose of oil from your automobiles or cooking and household detergents down the drain. And lastly, minimize the usage of chemicals and fertilizers and report any dumping into waterways to the Department of the Environment. The government has recognized the threat of inadequate liquid waste management and is working toward goals of reducing and reversing its effects. For more information on what's being done about water pollution and ways you can help, Visit our website at doe.gov.bz. I'm Alison Castillo, and now you know.
The teachers are going to strike, and leading up to next week Monday, they were out once again today in various municipalities to say no to the salary cut and increment freeze. News 5's Dwayne Moody caught up with a group in Hattieville and compiled this story with footage and interviews from the island and down south.
Between 7:15 and 8:30 this morning, teachers with placards in hand lined portions of the highways across the country. It is part of their planned activities as they continue to say no to the 10% salary cut and 3-year increment freeze. A group was in Hattieville.
We are saying 90% across the board with the teacher population that we do not agree with this 10%. What we are not appreciating, what the government is doing presently right now, is that this is our reality. This is what is happening. This is our ministry, our prime minister, all our ministers, and this is where we are. You're asking us for this 10%. However, you're not willing to give us what we're asking for. I would be ready to give them their 10% if they would do what is right. What is right? What is right is that we're asking for equality, equity, and liberation. That liberation means sign on to UNCAC. Put your money where your mouth is.
The BNTU, on behalf of the teachers, has written to Minister of Education Francis Fonseca saying that commencing on Monday, April 26th, they will officially go on strike. On La Isla Bonita, San Pedro teachers also came out in solidarity today.
We still stand against the 10% salary pay cut. The thing is that there have been no new proposal from the government. So then, until then, we're going to take industrial action leading up to our strike day, which is going to be on Monday.
Elsewhere, the same occurred, including Dangriga, and as these photos, courtesy of Southern Belize Media show, the teachers could be seen along the stretch of the Hummingbird Highway in the culture capital. They are demanding justice for tax dollars and say corruption is the enemy to development and good governance. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
During his rebuttal to the budget presentation, Leader of the Opposition Patrick Faber raised the issue of outstanding taxes owed to the government of Belize. He commended the current administration for its decision to allocate funds to beef up tax collection. However, he questioned whether the Briceño administration has the political will to go after large companies with outstanding tax debts. Faber lauded the unions for standing up against the proposed salary cuts. In response to those remarks about the unions, Freetown Area Representative Francis Fonseca called out Faber for his, quote, newfound love with the unions, unquote.
How is it that you are going to all of a sudden enforce such actions when there is very little other than the little money that you put in to beef up such activity? No additional personnel, no additional materials or equipment, and most importantly, no political will to enforce such actions on people who are friendly to your party, like those big businessmen that of course will tell you that they know upon that with all the land that they owe, they're not going to pay the taxes and you could do your next best. Some of the very same business people, Mr. Prime Minister, who funded your general and municipal campaigns. Talk is cheap, Prime Minister, and we have heard it all before. It is for that reason that the union's incredulity says to you, no sir, we are not taking a salary cut because you are not serious about these other measures. The fourth step in your recovery plan again fuels the incredulity of the joint unions and the Belizean people.
The leader of the opposition, he has a well-earned, a well-deserved reputation for being anti-union. Now we hear him trying to claim a newfound love for the unions. Well, Mr. Leader, you talk about anti-corruption. You had 12 years to address anti-corruption, and your party and you did absolutely nothing. all of a sudden you are concerned about waste. And let me tell the leader this. I can assure you, Mr. Leader, despite your overtures to the unions, I can assure you that at every single consultation we have with the unions, the joint unions make one thing absolutely clear to us. Whatever differences, they say, their words, whatever differences we have with the People's United Party government, FABA and the UDP will never be the answer.
A Corzal family is desperately trying to find their loved one who has been missing since Saturday. According to the Martinez family, Kim Michelle Martinez was reportedly at home when her husband went to work that day. Since then, they have been searching for her and have received tips that say she was spotted in Calcutta and in Corzal town. But so far, they have been unable to locate the mother of three. Now, the family is offering a $2,000 reward for anyone who can provide credible information that will lead to finding Martinez. Of note is that Martinez has a mental health condition. Today we spoke with a concerned family.
We have been on the ground. We've been to different villages. We went to Calcutta, and that's where we have most of the sighting. My sister was seen in Calcutta village, and that is we went to like 15 different homes, wearing a red blouse, a black pants, a purse, and was barefooted. They said that she was up and down on the highway. We got report from the police that they have a sighting of my sister back in Corzal on Sunday. Was sitting at the Chinese across from the police station, and that's the last sighting of my sister.
Does she suffer any at all from any maybe mental problems, any health condition where, you know, she would maybe lose herself and go away like that?
My sister suffers from a mental situation when she does not take her medication. When she takes her medication, she is fine. So the only reason something like this would happen is because she stopped taking her medication. She has never done this before. No matter what the situation is, Kim knows how to find home. Like this to be happening and for so long, we are truly concerned.
I would imagine that at this time, you know, the family is holding on to hope that she's still alive out there somewhere.
Yes, we definitely are.
But you're fearing that if the longer she remains out there, you know, something might happen to her.
Exactly, then that's our biggest fear.
Michelle, who also goes by the name Kim, is described to be of brown complexion, medium build, 5 feet 5 inches tall. She has dark brown eyes. If you have any information that can lead to the whereabouts of Michelle Kim Martinez, you can call the family directly at 626-7200 or reach out to the nearest police station. Just ahead, protecting biodiversity and farmers' crops, the actions being taken in the Toledo district. But first, here's the weather forecast with data from the Belize Met Service.
I'm Rosana Briceño. I am happy to see that the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccine has begun all over our nation. If we are to get back to some kind of normalcy, if our golden citizens will be better protected, and if our children are to go back to school, then we need to get vaccinated. I believe in the COVID-19 vaccine, and when my turn comes around, I will get vaccinated. I urge you to take it too. #GetVaccinated.Believe.
It is my time
to protect your life.
Don't wait to vaccinate. I believe in the COVID-19 vaccine.
The vaccine is the best way to protect lives.
Don't wait, vaccinate.
Don't hesitate, Belize.
Vaccinate.
Be COVID-19 safe.
If you care,
love them.
Protect them.
Vaccinate them.
Set in place by the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. Passengers traveling to the U.S. must present a negative COVID test or a documentation of having recovered from COVID-19 to travel to the U.S. In light of this, Maya, in partnership with Caring Hands Clinic, have established testing centers in all their municipal airports. Caring Hands Antigen Test Center is operational in San Pedro, Belize City, Dangriga, Placencia, and Hopkins. These testing facilities are staffed by licensed healthcare professionals, including doctors, registered nurses, and nurse practitioners. Testing is done using Abbott rapid test devices that are FDA approved and made in the USA. The service is safe, fast, affordable, and the close proximity of the centers makes them convenient. Walk-ins are welcomed, but appointments are encouraged. If you would like to make an appointment, please feel free to do so at Make your appointment, get tested, and in 15 minutes, you can get back to your vacation.
It's a fact that with Smart, you get truly unlimited everything. Only with Smart, you get unlimited data anytime, while with the other guy, it's only double data on weekends. With unlimited data every day with Smart, there's no need to wait. So, it's a fact that our unlimited plans beat the competition. Stop being measured and told when to use your data and get unlimited talk, text, and data. Experience the true unlimited plans with Smart. That's a fact. Make the switch and live smart.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
As the world observes Earth Day, people all over Belize are reflecting on environmental issues and challenges facing this country. Recently, one group of farmers in southern Belize began to deal with a common threat to their livelihoods head-on by getting training in dealing with forest fires. Not only are they able to now better protect their own crops, they're also looking out for the biodiversity around them. As the dry season approaches, the stewards of the protected areas wants communities to take an active part in fire management for increased protection of the forests and the people who rely on these resources. News 5's Andrea Polanco has the story.
These 11 farmers of San Pedro, Colombia in Toledo are learning how to responsibly manage fires in their community. Darius Chen is a farmer who uses fire in his farming practice. But when those fires get out of control, they pose serious threats. Now, Darius and these other farmers are learning important skills that will go a long way toward protecting their farms and crops.
To prevent the fire, as one farmer, I think it would benefit every other farmers, because when the place burn down and with wildfire, it destroy a lot of crops, a lot of resources for what we use, what we need. And I think if we continue practice it, I think it would benefit us individually as farmers. At the end of the day, we live here, and to help other farmers, I think they for work hand in hand with them, you know. So I think that was a good idea, and I support it, and I'm willing to volunteer my time for help, because as a farmer, I need to deal with mines, and I want them to come help me as well.
During the training, the volunteers learned about firefighting at the landscape level, fire behavior, and fire weather. The sessions also included a practical component with a demonstration on how to conduct a proper controlled burn, where the participants learned how to create a fire pass and control a fire within a confined area. Additionally, they also learned how to use fire gear and equipment, as well as fire safety protocols. The two-day session were carried out by the Yache Conservation Trust.
It's really having us build a network with San Pedro, Colombia leaders and the community. I am proud, and I can see the passion and also the desire of the chairman and the alcalde, you know, planning ahead for their community. But yes, pioneer for Toledo and pioneer for the whole country of Belize, you know, so that we'll be able to, you know, lessen the impact of fire here, you know, and especially nowadays it's getting hotter, you know, and removing our forest cover, and also climate change.
The need for this kind of training is becoming increasingly important. Year after year, the villagers are faced with fires that affect their livelihoods. Just last year, several weeks of fires destroyed thousands of dollars worth of cornfields and cacao farms in San Pedro, Colombia, and other communities. Now that villagers know how to respond to this threat, their leaders hope that there will be fewer fires and smaller losses.
For previous years, we have been fighting fires in Colombia. Well, last year was one of the worst scenario. We had weeks of fires in Colombia. And looking at it as a leader, we took the step and spoke with our council and the local team, decided to see the way forward in fighting fires in our community.
These are the times that the cornfields are getting dry, and these are the times that the farmers are harvesting their crops. But last year the fire started very early, and some of our farmers didn't have the chance to harvest their crops. Some farmers lose a majority of corn, and then it affects the whole family.
But when you control these fires, it doesn't just benefit the people and their properties, it benefits the wider natural resources like the forests and wildlife. And to protect forests from uncontrolled blaze, Protected Areas Co-Manager Yache Conservation Trust champions responsible fire management to help protect nature and the communities they work with.
They recognize that Yache has the expertise and experience in dealing with forest fires. Yache's focus has always been on an integrated landscape management, and that requires that we include people, biodiversity, and all the natural resources that our communities depend on. We see that this training is going to better equip the community to be able to respond to fires that are quite prevalent in San Pedro, Colombia.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.